Hello, Sterling family. Here is a thought for the week. Have you ever asked yourself why it seems like the global church is in disarray? You know, as followers of Jesus, you would think that we would try to get along. But yet, over the generations, when churches have disagreed, we tend to fight each other or split apart. And now we have thousands of denominations in the Western world, and it seems like the unity among the churches is lacking. Well, this question has been on my mind a lot. And as I was reading the latest version of the Canadian Mennonite, I stumbled across an article that talks exactly about this issue. Now, this past summer, both Mennonite Church Canada and Mennonite Church USA had their national conventions, or as we call it, the nationwide gathering. But in the States, they had a speaker named Tom Yoder Neufeld. And Tom Yoder Neufeld used to be a professor at Conrad Grebel University College, and he spoke at the American Convention about unity in the church. Now, this article is entitled "Shackled Together in Perfect Unity, Blame It on God." And what I realized as I read it is that what Tom Yoder Neufeld offers us when it comes to unity in the church is a new perspective. And the perspective is this, that when it comes to the disarray in the church, we should blame it on God. Now, that seems a little bit unconventional, but what Tom Yoder Neufeld is trying to tell us here is that diversity in the church is a given. And what God does so well is to gather all of us together in Him. And so the fact that the church is diverse is actually God's fault, because God is so good at gathering people from all different cultures and ages and demographics into one body. Now, the outcome of this, of course, is that there's a lot of work for us to do. And so Tom Yoder Neufeld, in his talk, also addresses verses like Ephesians 4, verse 3, where it says, "Make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace." We as the global church have all been adopted into the family of God. And I think what Tom Yoder Neufeld is saying is that we don't have a choice of who our brothers and sisters are. They have been brought into God's family the same way that we have. And now it's up to us to make every effort to keep the unity of the Spirit through the bond of peace. Now, of course, that's not easy. And one of the quotes that stood out to me in this article is when Tom Yoder Neufeld said, "It takes every ounce of love to cope with the success of God's gathering. We have been called into unity by God, who has gathered us all together in His church. And to actually work at that unity is hard. And it takes the kind of love, the self-giving, sacrificial love that we see in Jesus." What I also found interesting is that there were some people at the convention who asked whether or not unity should have some kind of limits. Now, that would make sense to us, right? We can be unified on some things, but when it comes to other things in the church, we just have to draw the line. And what I found interesting about Tom Yoder Neufeld's response is that it opened the door for transformation. This is what he said: "The unity of the Spirit is intended to be a transformative one. We are brought into the body of Christ. We are not simply included, we are included for transformation." So when it comes to unity in the church, instead of asking whether other groups can reach our standard, I think the question we all have to ask is, how do we live up to God's standard? And when we ask it from that perspective, we also realize that there is transformative work to be done by all of us. That as we work for unity in the church, we might realize that it's not the people on the other side who need to be transformed, but it might be us who need to be transformed. Unity in the church is a difficult task, but it's a task that we can blame on God, who is so great and so good that he has gathered people from all diverse places into one family and has the power to transform us, to bring us into unity together. And so as you go into the rest of your day and your week, may the peace of Christ be with you.